Howdy, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the Grand Land of Olean. Gonna Howdy. We are live from the Grand Land of Olean, and we're doing our Maximum Entertainment 2.0 workshop. Yep, that's what we're doing. We just have to find our live, make sure that we are live, and see what else we can do. Yeah. There he is. We're live. So what are we going to talk about today? A couple things are happening. We're going to go ahead and get everything set up for us real quick. Make sure everything looks nice and neat here. Go. So we've been hanging out on TikTok, having a lot of fun over there performing magic. So if you want to see us perform magic, head on over there. If you want to see us build our routines and have a little bit of fun, check us out here on the YouTube. So just to give you a rundown of the types of things that we're doing over there, we would throw in some small ideas like our amazing bubbles, our Tenyo magic mystery, have a little bit of a light snack, if you will. Nothing wrong with having a light snack. Yeah, get rid of that. But doing that, we do a little bit of the little magic-y stuff that we like to carry around, and the 8-ball stuff, and the stuff that we carry on us, and we just practice new things. For instance, our last live was our coin magic session where we learned a routine from Bobo's. We've been doing that on the live to get some practice in, and we're actually carrying it on us here. The fun part about this particular trick is that it only requires the coin and the handkerchief, which you'd carry on you. So we can talk a little bit about that today. We also have our 21st Century Silks. You'll hear it here. The names, we'll talk about them, we'll learn some things. So if you're not into learning magic or performing magic, go ahead and check us over on TikTok. We'll be doing some magic performances over there. We build things here so that we can be better over there. Just seems to work out better that way. We'll see how it goes. So we perform the silks, and we have, to be honest, since we did the video, we actually misplaced this. We found it. I kept, during the lives, I was like, where's that at? Where is it at? Well, I found it. So another thing that we can do on the workshop is we can talk about setup for studio stuff. I have a new shelf that I want to clean off the desk and put it over there. I want to get this stuff here over there. That way, I can load this down with more stuff. What do you think was going to happen, right? So why don't we get this out of the way for a second? We're not going to need all of this. We can perform that in a second. We can perform this in a second. This we will be performing right meow. So this is our magic box. As you can see, there is nothing in the box. What makes it magic is the fact that it'll go back together at all. You hear that? The little magician has arrived. I think it'll look better this way. When we open it up, hold on. And now we have a little magician. Yeah, there's a couple of different ways to perform that. I kind of like the idea because we're building. You know what? Take a look at my Magic Beyond Imagination poster as we move it over to here. Hello, guys. Good to see you. We're going to get out our notebook, our handy dandy notebook, because we're going to be writing some stuff down because we want to do that. Now, remember last time we only made it through page 6, so there's actually way more things that we should have gotten through that I forgot about, but we've already started. But we'll get back into that in a second. Silent acts, avoid cliches. Let's see, we did 6 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to get started right here in a second. But first, let's take a look-see here at our notation for, what did I say? What was I saying? The magician, the black box, the magic box with the magician. Now, the fun part is my phone case is actually the same. This is a sticker of the Magician Tarot card. My phone case has the same image on it, so that's kind of fun. Magic box with the magician. The appearing magician. So that's a fun one. Now, we can do that with the shake method, which is not ideal, or the magnet, which is ideal because that's the way it should be done. But the basic idea is if I say, hello, I'm JC, and I do magic. I'm the magician. So it needs to be worked on, but there should be a way to make this happen. Not even worrying about making sure this is connected, because that doesn't seem to help. Nothing is here. But only when you give it the magic shake, the magician will appear. There he is. So we'll work on that. So that's the appearing magician in the magic box. So we'll get back to that. Okay, we're going to get through this, but we're not going to go too crazy with reading everything. That's what we promised at the beginning, because we will be going over this and referring to it as we build more routines. So for those of you who are joining, this is the Maximum Entertainment Workshop. This is where we go over our notes from the book Maximum Entertainment 2.0. Don't forget that there is a book sponsorship going on the channel. You have the opportunity to donate, and I will match whatever is donated. I will match that so that we can get these books out to people, and we will do that forever as long as the book is in print. We want this book in people's hands so that we can maximize their entertainment value for their performances. So avoid performance fatigue. We do not memorize our scripts and our routines so that we can check out mentally from our performances. We memorize them so that we could be in the moment with our spectators, enjoying it with them, and looking for those special moments to elevate our magic. Avoid performance fatigue. Vary your effects. Make sure that you go through your list. Make a list of how many of your effects you want to do. If you have an idea of how long they are, this is what I do here. I write down the effects that I want to do. Write down how long I think it'll take me, whether it's a 30-second routine, a 1-minute routine, a 2-minute routine. Those times can vary, but you want to have an idea if it's tight enough. If you are polished enough that you know how long those segments take, write it down. If not, don't worry about it, because when you're in front of the audience, it's going to change to some degree depending on if that trick is entertainment driven. Like you can have Miser's Dream go for 5 to 10 minutes. You know, some tricks will last longer or shorter depending on the interaction element. So be wary of that, but make sure you're varying your effects to tell a story. Now, if you have similar effects, you might want to cut them, especially if you're tight for time, because you don't want to have 2 effects that are similar. For instance, my coin effect is a coin through handkerchief. My Tenyo magic ball is magic ball through solid object. Kind of the same thing. So you might not want to perform both of those in the same show, especially if you don't have the time. Cut one. Cut the weaker effect of the two. In this case, the 10-year magic ball is fantastic and you can perform it very well, but the coin and handkerchief is probably going to be better because you can borrow these objects. So, borrowing stuff is okay as long as it doesn't affect pacing. Don't forget to return their stuff. Avoid bad jokes or cliches that make the audience look bad. Don't blow on stuff for the vanish. We're trying to get rid of that. Don't blow on stuff. Make sure that you read the room. Very important that you understand your audience, that if you have a room full of kids, don't be swearing and doing things like that. Don't do off-color stuff. If you're a corporate, make sure it's suit and tie. Make sure that it's crisp. Make sure it's good. Make sure you're reading the room and that you have the same vibe as whatever the room is putting out, the same energy or match energy. Interact with your spectators. You interrupt them. You interrupted them. Take control. What that means is that if you're having a conversation with your audience, you want to make sure that you're taking a moment to thank them for their time. You interrupted them, so if they start talking, you want to make sure that you're engaging in that conversation. But once you have control, after a couple of minutes, go full steam ahead. Only after you've been welcomed into the group. Okay, next part is Ken Weber has the opinion, and this could be good or bad, so you can let me know in the comments in the future. At some point, if there's somebody watching now, go ahead and let me know. Mentalism and mental magic are two separate things. You're either a mentalist or you're a magician. Do not mix these things. Now, Ken Weber is a seasoned mentalist who has performed magic. So if you're a magician and you feel that your mentalism is mentalism, or do you understand kind of, once I get through this, if it's mental magic? So, mentalist does not mean magician. Mentalism does not mean magic. A magician performs mental magic. A mentalist performs miracles. Different. Magicians use props to help them create this mental magic. Mentalists use objects to connect them with the subject to help their powers activate. Avoid doing magic if you are a mentalist. So let me know down below if that's something that you agree with. Do you think that you can mix and match mentalism and magic? Do not over-explain or explain away the mystery. And if you are a mentalist, get rid of the disclaimer. There is no reason in Ken Weber's eyes to state that, a disclaimer of effects because he feels like it detracts from the magic. They know they're coming to a show. They know that they're paying to see and be entertained. All it does is waste 30 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever it is, and nobody's going to remember anyway at the end of the day. So he says, don't even worry about it. Waste time and hurt your performance. A performer is an artist and expresses themselves through their art. You see other performers on stage performing and they're saying or doing things that you don't agree with. Just remember, you're all in the same game. Nobody is doing it wrong. Nobody's doing it right. We are artists and we are expressing ourselves because if you have the right to express yourselves the way you want, then they have the right to express themselves the way they want. Somehow I completely skipped 2 full pages here, so that's awesome. Don't forget consecutive progression counting. Basically, you want to start with a weaker effect and work your way up to a mind-blowing miracle, a magical moment. Do not count out of order. Don't start an impossible. So what this part is saying is, do not guess a name out of an infinite number of names and then struggle with a 50-50 chance. where there's only two options. That's not building towards climax because you already did the harder thing. We're going to talk about that later to see what you guys think and what I think as we go through our coin routine. We're going to break down the coin routine we learned from Bobos once we get there. So we're trying to get through this. Let's hurry up. Build and escalate. Build the stakes. You know, stakes have to get higher and higher as you go. And we'll talk about that a lot with this coin routine. It's a 3-phase routine. I added a little bit at the beginning. We'll talk about that and see how that can be implemented. Silent acts. If you aren't speaking, then your movements become more important because your words can be misdirection, but your words can also be direction. And if you're not talking, then they still have to understand what it is that you're trying to convey in order to follow the plot of the show. Which, what I really like about that is that that's something that we can look at in real time when we start doing reviews. We can look at silent acts like Shin Lim and the taped face guy and see exactly what they're doing to control the flow of the show. So that'll be kind of important. Do not dance if you have not. You have to have dancing lessons. This is a new joke that I make. Do not dance unless you have lessons, and on top of that, your instructor has given you the green light to dance in public. Otherwise, don't do it. The story might be harder to follow, so make sure your movements say exactly what you mean. Do not assume. That goes for silent acts as well for speaking acts, that you might want to add in some patter that gives some direction to the show, because let's say you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of plot progression, and they miss 2. And so now 3 and 4 don't make sense because they're not really sure how you got to where you went. So at the end, that's why you might want to say, well, we started here, we did this, we did that. Something like that might happen when you're doing live streams because people might be jumping into the middle of the act. It's similar to busking. So I'm really trying to get that familiar feel because I want to put my table out front and just start jamming. Just go to town on some magic with my table, like yard sale day. That'd be great. Just, hey, step right up, step right up. We're going to do some magic for you today. Boom. Go right into it, do some street magic. And for the people that are passing by going yard sale. I think that's a great idea. We're going to stay tuned for that. Maybe I can record it. Maybe I can't. Who knows? But I just went to the other side. Wait a second. Oh, that's for silent acts. Do not assume. So just make sure that like you reiterate what's happening so that people know. The example that I was going to give, sorry, I got distracted, is I had a trick that I was doing where I was finding a card, and the original card was gone and lost, and then I was having to find that card using a truth or lie method, which basically allowed the spectator to tell me a new card that they just thought of, and we used that card to find the original card, and the people that showed up halfway through were like, but that wasn't the card, we picked this one. And I was like, yes, let me reiterate, that was the false card or the lie, so that I could find the real card using that one. So I had to explain that, and it may have been lost on them because they didn't get to see the first part and understand that it was like a ambitious effect and that we already had another card selected. So they didn't have any skin in the game. You know, they weren't interested because they hadn't had the ups and downs and the emotional ties to the original card that we had already selected. So just make sure that if you going back to the idea of a silent act, make sure that there are no no unintentional silence. Make sure you have music in the background if that's what you're doing. And this is another note on music. That if you're doing a show and you have music, and then there's silence, but it's not intentional, it just makes things... So don't do that. Avoid cliches. Again, we talked about this last time. We talked about it again. Every step of the way, just remember, avoid cliches. Don't do things that are cliches. Unless that's your whole act. Because I know Bob Possible, that guy is fantastic. he says, he's like, I just got one-liners. That's all I do. One-liners, and they're stellar. So check them out. Check out Bob Possible. Okay, this next one, do not cue your audience for laughter, applause, or cry for every single thing. Save it for what actually deserves it. Goes back to what we were talking about, that like if you're telling a joke, speak through the punchline, let them decide if it's funny or not, and just keep moving on with your show. They'll give you those cues on their own. You don't want some guy standing in the corner like Lord Farquaad. I made the joke earlier on my live. You don't want some guy telling people that it's time to laugh, it's time to applaud, unless it's time. Because sometimes they might not know it's the end, especially if you're doing that building and climbing climatic climb, because they'll be like, what's next? What's next? And be like, and there you have the show. And then that way that lets them know that that's the end of that segment or the show itself. How do you want to do that? Check out Spina. That's Joni Spina. So we're going to be checking out Joni Spina as we go through these workshops, deep dive. And there was... I have to remember what Spina... I think that was choreographing. Let's see if we can find it. I wrote down check her out, but I didn't write down why we are checking her out. I know it was towards the end, I believe. So, I know he said that she's passed away, but Jeannie has all of her, like a lot of her stuff saved. So if you purchase the subscription, then you get access to all of her downloads, all of her stuff. That's after the show. Standing ovations. It's in here somewhere. Sometimes when I do stuff like this, what I look for is look for the next thing to see what it is that I'm missing. So I did have a graph here with dealing with spectators. So basically I just have to look to see where there's if there's any charts, which there wasn't a whole lot in the book, because it's like the only one that I actually drew. Here it is. So okay. Desperately seeking Spina. Finally, I can offer no better advice for non-speaking performers than this. Joni Spina's Magic Magazine columns. Renowned magic choreographer and director. So I was correct. I just wanted to confirm that's why you want her, because she's a choreographer. Let me write that down here so that we know for the future. And that it's Genie Magazine in order to get access to her thing. So, Joni Spina, dealing with spectators. Ask them their name, and I don't remember if we got to this last time, so if I'm repeating it, good, because we're going to go over it and over it again in these workshops. Treat them as guests and respect them. RESPECT. Respect. Remember to control every moment. Back to the 6 pillars. Was that one of the 6 pillars? Possibly. Do not ask for volunteers, because if you ask, then you shall receive with a show of hands, or you're putting people on the spot. So you don't want that. You either get too many or scare them off. Choose, and choose wisely. Say please and thank you and give clear instructions. Never assume they understand, but don't go too far and act like they are dumb. Because you don't want them to look dumb. You don't want to detract from the performance, but you do want to give them enough direction that they can carry, that it's understandable what you're trying to do. Proper positioning, as you can see from the chart on there, it's in the book. It's a little bit better in the book. It might actually be hard to see there. But so say you're the spectator, which you are in this case. If I were to have another person, I would be slightly turned, so I'd be kind of facing this way, and the other person would be like where the wand is. Yes, this is a wand. It's a giant wand. Thank you, Doug Kahn. Boop. Perfect. Now I can write that off. Okay. That's the gag that I've been doing with it. I'm not really sure what else I'm going to do with it, but it was a free gift from Doug Kahn, so I do put it in there, and I do use that joke maybe 3 or 4 times throughout an hour show. Wand gags are fun, and it's the only one I have. So that's the idea. You kind of want to be like a triangle with your audience and your spectator, the volunteer that you have. Listen, engage in the moment with your spectator. Listen and react. You're having a conversation. You want to make sure that you're hearing what they're saying and that you're responding. I think we did go over this last time. There was a Louis Armstrong reference, the astronaut. And so the magician is basically saying, what's your name? What's your job? Where are you from? And the volunteer is like giving them the information. But the confusion is that this person's famous and you're not really picking up on the cues, the magician, because you're too focused in your pattern. So just make sure that you're reacting to what they're saying and being engaging with that conversation. Only touch with permission. Safe zones, we know what those are. And when absolutely necessary. So if you have to engage and touch, just make sure that there's a reason and that you did ask permission. Never leave a spectator on stage alone. If you do, then be very clear on what you want and be quick. Make sure that you're coming right back. There is some performances that might happen that you're not on stage with them. Just make sure that you're still in control. That's all I can say there. Dismiss them with a smile, give them a handshake, and help them off the stage. Prepare for problems. Always prepare for your problems so you can keep rolling. I'm on TikTok. I make mistakes. You just have fun with it. You make jokes. If you can, you make good jokes to keep the entertainment going even when mistakes happen. Because 1, they might not know a mistake happened. 2, they don't care. They're just there to be entertained. And if you're having fun and you're keeping the energy going, they might not even know. You can just roll through it. A good example of that earlier is I did this. These are my bubbles. Ugh. They might be expired. Yeah, these are my expired bubbles. Oh, that one went down there. But it is expired. You can see there's a little one right here. I'm going to pop it right there. They don't pop so easy when they're expired. But here's what happened. I had a whole bunch of them land on the table. They didn't pop. I dropped this one and it was bouncing away. And I was just like, well, that can happen when they're expired. You know, they're all over the place. Look at that. That one's rolling away. You know, so I just had fun with the idea that was the expired bubble. That's what they do. They don't pop. When I did that initially, people love the magic bubbles. Weird. It's one of my best viewed shorts ever. So I keep it. And it's actually one of the things that I carry for Halloween. I carry usually 3 things with me. Carry a deck of cards to do some cardistry with and some magic. Carry the magic bubble and one other thing just to do circular stuff with, to keep going back and forth, just to like wow people with some fun stuff. But yeah, I'm finding where I'm at. Before the show, Easy Riders are documents that you send along with your contract that basically can be anywhere between a paragraph, around a paragraph, or more, that kind of just details what you might need for your show, and it rides along with your contract, just to let them know, this is so that we can have smooth sailing. This is what I need. This is how many, seating arrangements, lightings. If I'm going to need space for props or just whatever happens to be in your show, give them a rundown of that. Especially like you're going to do card to ceiling. Hey, I'm going to be poking a hole in your ceiling. They're going to want to know that, So there might be some discussions that might need to be had. Maybe they don't want graffiti, or this was a good one that actually showed up. What was it? I think it was the Professional Magician podcast with Chris Johnson. One of his guests was talking about, there was a lot of other stuff happening there. Quick version is he was hosting the show at a convention, hosting it, but he left briefly to go do a gig. He went out and worked while he was hosting, and when he got back, there was police and fire people there. The fire department was there because somebody had done fire at the convention for magic and set off the alarms, so people were showing up, and they couldn't find him, and he was the guy that was the person in charge. They couldn't find him, and when they came back, so there was a big like, your contract says no fire, you're not supposed to be doing any fire, and then we couldn't find you. So there was all that. But just know that if your venue doesn't allow for fire magic, well, no, they don't know magic specifically, but they don't allow open flame or anything like that, make sure that you include that. Or let's be for real, let's say you're doing an event for some type of corporate or something like that, and let's say they're dry, they don't have an open bar, they don't do alcohol at all, maybe it's a charity drive for Alcoholics Anonymous or Mothers Against Drink Driving, probably don't want to open with a wine bottle or something like that. So just make sure that you're doing your research and make sure you're sending this to the person that hired you. That's another thing that Chris Johnson talks about, because sometimes what can happen is the person that hires you might not be the person in charge because they're different departments. You might be getting paid from a different department from the person who hired you, and the person who hired you might not actually be the person that you're doing the event for. Things can get kind of crazy, especially if you're working with bigger organizations. So just make sure you're doing your due diligence to know the venue, know who the answers, who you ask the questions to. Make sure you know where you're getting your money from. Also make sure that you understand, and this goes like outside of the performance realm that's not in here, but that's why the Professional Magicians podcast is something you should check out with Chris Johnson. He actually just ended it, but it should all still be there for you to listen to with these phenomenal magicians. That Jim Kleefeld, I have his book right behind me here, right up here. Kid Show Matters. I learned all that from him. I spoke with Obadiah, an individual, another magician, older magician that I still have his phone number. We chatted for a little bit, and it's fun. I got to network a little bit through that podcast. So talking about this idea of setting up gigs and things like that, you should understand that some organizations like schools and stuff, they might have like a 30-day wait period. So you do the performance, but they don't send checks out for 30 days. You probably should know that if you're day-to-day, gig-to-gig, or week-to-week. Hey, you're not going to get that check for like 6 weeks. Maybe it might not be for you. But understand ahead of time how that works. Because sometimes that can help you work your way through that because you can plan for that. None of which has anything to do with Maximum Entertainment, but it is still good advice nonetheless. Easy Riders. Make sure you're sending those along. We already talked about this. Know your audience. Corporate, kids, age, religion, etc. You get it. Know your audience. Who's on first? Share your set list with other magicians. So basically what that means is that if you are working with a group of magicians that you don't know them, if you did know them, you'd probably know exactly what they're doing. But maybe you know them but don't know their set because you haven't worked together before. You got 4 magicians, and they're going on and they're doing the 21st Century Silks. I got sitting right here. Say you're the fourth magician and the first three did 21st century silks. Don't do 21st century silks. You want your show to be as diverse and as separate from their shows as possible. Even if you can do it better, unless it's your trademark, unless it's the thing that is your center focus of your show, cut it. Do something else, because you don't want to be the same as the other guy. Because even if yours is better, as soon as they see that it's the same effect and routine, they're probably going to check out. Don't be a copycat, even if it's not intentional. So share your set list and just know what's going on. Also remember who they bring on stage, because they might be a really good volunteer. Or you don't want the same people to come up on stage, because that might seem like a fixed event, because it's like, this is the volunteer that Joe brought up. You might not want to do that. Setting the environment. Plan, prepare, practice for potential issues. Avoid distractions and make friends with staff at the venue. And learn where the light switches are, just in case they get turned off. So the example is you're in this big banquet hall, and there's these doors that you've got in the back, and then right next to the doors is the panel for the light switches. Well, somebody comes in and they don't want to interfere with the tables and the show that's going on, so they just lean next to the door. All of a sudden, it's pitch black. What's going on? And you're like, hey, can you go ahead and flip those lights back on that you just leaned against the wall back there? It looks good because you're taking control. You're in charge, even off stage. You're like, I know where everything is. I know who's in charge of different things. Like, I know, hey, that's Sam over there. He's going to help you with that. This guy over here's got the food. He's going to be the one there. And this is the guy that's the head honcho. I know this guy. I know exactly what he needs from me. And this is what I need from you. So just make friends with everybody. You're your best friends, and it's your show. You're the performer. So take control, take charge. But be nice about it, too. Okay. Next page. Didn't skip a page this time. Yay. Okay, also stay in tune. The next point here is with your seating. Figure out how many people are expected. More chairs can be added. Chairs must be taken away. You do not want to fill the back seats first and then fill towards the front. Hey, everybody, we have less people than expected. Please move forward. That's where the show is going to be happening. That's the best seat in the house. And then have the back seats cleared, because you don't want people in the back, especially if there's empty seats in the front. Prepare the method of getting to the stage so that it is easy and accessible and safe. If for some reason there's only one set of steps and it's like lopsided and broken, fix it. Before you even go on stage, have them wheel out the stairs from the back that are the old, the lean-in ones that are good. They're still good shape, whatever. Fix it. Don't have dangerous steps for yourself or for your volunteers that might be coming on stage. Fix it. Prepare doors so they don't slam or make loud noises. So that one is... There's a tape that you can get that doesn't leave a residue. You can lock the bar in place. This is in the book. Make sure that you're securing that bar. Some of them have a key that lets you lock it in place so that the door will still close but won't latch. Because what ends up happening is the doors open and close, and they do like a little when they close, but then that bar crashes out as it latches, and you're performing, and then every time that happens, what's the guy doing? What's the guy doing? What's the guy? You get the idea. So just make sure that those doors are as silent as possible, and you let them know, hey, this is going to come right off. We don't have to worry about it. Is there any way we can secure those doors so that the bar isn't engaging every single time? Just make sure that you got that covered. Talking about cover, makeup. Take it or leave it, a little bit or a lot. If you're not a clown, don't look like a clown, but maybe some touch-up, maybe some cover-up, maybe some, I don't know makeup very well, but something like I got a lot of shine on my face from the lighting, maybe $1, something that's going to, now that I think about it, I'm actually looking like Kano. Just give me a red eye. It's so bright. I really got to get my lighting figured out. I have studio lighting. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. But I probably could do better with the arrangement of lighting. That is. So consider makeup if you want to, if it's necessary. If you're going into like a bigger corporate space like TV or whatever, they might have makeup artists already on hand. So just whatever works best for you in this case. If you need it, use it. If not, just consider it at least. Shower right before leaving. So you're going to want to shower right before you head out the door. Stay as clean as possible. Brush your teeth. Apply anything to prolong the return of bad odor. So whatever you need to do to make sure that you stay fresh, make sure you got your mints, your breath mints, your breath spray, your deodorants, whatever it is. Make sure you're showered right before leaving, and then make sure that you apply stuff before you go out. Introduction. So if you have an MC at your event, give them direction. Hand them a paper and say, "This is what I want you to say. Read it to me." Like make sure they rehearse it, word for word. Your name should be last. So that's something that I'm working on. When I come on here, I say, "And we're live." I usually go, "Howdy, howdy. Welcome back to my little digital slice of the grand land of Olean. I'm JC, and I'm going to be doing magic for you today. I am the magician." That might work out if I will be doing magic for you today. We'll get it figured out. That's for sure. You get the idea. Anyway, so that's the intro that I'm trying to work on, where JC Magic is the last part of that as we go into it. Now, something on live that might not be something to consider is lives are different. Like I can slow down on lives and I can just kind of pad the runtime. Look at my hand. Look at this little cut here. It's just a massive thing here. I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go along here. But I could take my time with that. If I was doing a video and somebody were to click on the video, that 9 seconds is so important. Lives are different because someday when you guys are watching this and getting this information, you already know who I am. You already know why we're here, because after we do our workshops, we're going to hop over to short form, long form, and we're going to talk about it. And if people fall in love with the idea of joining us for our magic workshops, then they're going to be here because they know what's already happening. I've already got their attention on the other videos, or I may have already got your attention. So thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget the book sponsorship giveaway. We'll do it forever as long as this book is in print. Whatever you donate, I will match. 100% match. I've already bought the first book, so all we need to do is raise enough money to ship this out to a lucky individual. And you guys get to pick. You're the book sponsor. If you donate, say its shipping cost is $15. If you donate $7, you just say, "Hey, this person is a performer that I think could really use this book." Or if you wanted to purchase it for $7 for yourself, we already got it. That's how that works. We won't know how we're going to send them out until we raise enough money to do so, but we will do it forever, and we will get these books into the hand of aspiring performers. If you can't make the show, fix it, even if that means you pay for it. So if weather happens, travel happens, car breaks down, whatever it happens to be, you make sure that you get a performer there. Figure it out and make sure that they're a good one, even if you have to pay for it. Or just show up. Figure it out. That's your job. It's not like they could postpone the event at last minute. You need to make it happen. As much as however you need to make that happen, make it right at the very least. Briefly mingle before the show. Now, this is something that Ken Weber went back and forth on, is whether or not you should remain that mysterious individual and not engage with people. But a lot of magicians now, they're doing these pre-shows for a little extra money. They're engaging with a smaller population of the overall audience, and they're getting to know them a little bit. And because they know them and they're more comfortable with them, they might be using those during the actual primary show. So just keep that in mind, that there is a potential. You just make friends, and if you already know their names, you be like, "Hey, we were chatting earlier. Let's you want to come up and help me on stage? Great." Or maybe there's some inside jokes. Ha, we know that's your fourth one tonight. If it's appropriate. Again, make sure that you have that rapport with them. But you can do that stuff because you've already chatted with them on an intimate level. Don't go overboard. Just kind of mingle. Have fun. Just before walking out, walk straight with confidence. The way I call it is cat crossing the courtyard. It's a pose or a movement from the Wheel of Time in sword forms and master swordsmen, blade masters. So cat crosses the courtyard is a pompous pose. It's arrogance. A cat struts, right? Because they're in control. They're in charge. So you kind of just saunter and you sway. But you're doing so in a way that is arrogant. That's it's a good way to put it, but you might not want it to be an arrogant kid performer. But the idea is that it's all about confidence. So make sure that however you're walking out, make sure you're smiling, make sure that you're happy. So right before you go out, say something that is jovial, a joke, or just kind of a quick laugh or something, so that when you walk out, you're mentally ready to engage with the audience with that energy. Start the energy at backstage before you make it front stage. And then you also want to make sure that throughout the show that you're thinking about your posture. Make sure you're not slowly becoming shorter as you perform. Gravity is your enemy. Look at this. I can make it look pretty natural that I'm down here like this, but in reality, I'm losing inches. I mean, nobody wants that to happen. So make sure that you maintain your posture and check in with yourself throughout the show. Not just about your posture, but with your energy too, because again, we're talking about earlier performance fatigue. You don't want this to happen during your show because you know what your audience's attention is going to do? If that's what's happening, you want to make sure that you're climbing towards your climax, and for every segment where there's high intensity, make sure that you're getting intense. Movement is happening upstairs, so we might be visited soon. Still have a couple of pages left. This is quite a lot of material, and we're at 48 minutes. During the show, your opening routine or dialogue is your job interview. Convey to your audience that it is an honor to be there. Don't share your problems. The audience doesn't care. Smile and wave. Smile and wave, boys. The penguins from Madagascar. You're there to entertain. You're not there to do anything else besides take them on a journey in their favorite rocket ship. Just get them out of their brain and out of their bodies and take them on a journey. Prior to going on, check your props. Making sure they're in the right place, make sure your microphone's on and working. If you're using the stand with the wired mic, make sure the MC used it to introduce you so that he's doing the check for you. Because if something goes wrong, he's fixing it. I mean, you can help him, but it happens to him, not to you. So just be preventive. And that's why the MC's there. Hi, hello, how's it going? Oh, this isn't working. Let's go ahead and fix it. And they can go ahead and fix it for you. Now let me introduce the main event of the evening, the magician, the magic miracle maker, JC Magic. Boom, there he is. Okay, he comes out, and we're ready to rock and roll because it's working. So make sure that you're double checking and triple checking. You showed up early. You mapped everything out in the venue. You know where everything's going to be. Got everything set up. The mic has been checked 20 times before you step on stage, and make sure that everything is working. Do not start with a long story or boring joke. Stay true to your character. So it's an opener. Openers are 30 seconds to 2 minutes. It's quick. It's flashy. You're trying to get their attention because you need to have social proof that you're magic, that you are magical. You're a magical creature. You're a unicorn. And magic is happening because you were there. That's why you have so many of these like smoke and then the magician appears. You know, you have these cliche things where something magical is happening. Josh has a great story. Josh Norbito from the Magic Guys has a great story. Him and his magician buddy they're leaning against the wall over by the door. They're being introduced by the MC, not even for their segment. They're just going over the itinerary. They're just going over the people that are going to be there, the entertainment for the evening, and they're like, and the magicians, and everybody looks over to them, and Josh is like, hey, get it ready, fireball. Not even for their introduction for the stage. We're just talking about letting people know that the magicians are in the house and magic has already happened. That's the way to do it right there. Boom. Take that to heart and make sure that you use that and you fix that. Whatever works best for you. That's probably one of the best ways to do it. Make a fireball appear. good on you. But you learn these things as you go through the process. Make sure everybody is facing you. So if you're performing in a banquet hall and you got round tables, say, hey, look, the show's up here. Why don't we go ahead and turn our chairs around so that we can see everything that's going on up here. It's really hard performing in a banquet hall. I've seen a guy, Jim Candy, was a magician. He did a presentation magic show where his presentation was he was using magic to elevate it. Good and bad. Good magic. But then at the end, there was some wonkiness. But that's a conversation for another time. But if I were evaluating it, he got some negative points at the end. Not a very good closer. So, just saying. And he ate with us for the seminar. That's a back and forth thing that another conversation for another time too. Whether or not you should eat with your audience. Double check that you can see and hear what the audience sees and hears so you can make adjustments in real time. So if you have monitors set up or whatever works best for the venue, that way you can see you. So if you go to do an effect over here, see the monitor right there as you're looking at the audience, like I'm doing right here. It's the same setup if you're doing live. So when we talk about what you'll be doing performing, this is probably the best medium because I can see me and it kind of still looks like I'm looking at you. But if I go to do a trick and I go down here, I know that, right? If I go to do a trick here, I can see that. Over here, I can see that. Up here, I can see that. But up here, I can't. So that's exactly what I do. And you auto adjust so that people can see you. Now, one of the things I say as a counterpoint to performing live like this is that this is my world. Is this rectangular box. And so if you go to perform live, make sure you remember that you can move around and that your world is, how does the saying go? An oyster. It's not just this little box. Jimmy talks a lot all the time. You yell it from the tops of the mountain. Yodelay, yodelay, yoo-hoo. Start expanding your magical horizons. Make sure that people know that the floor is a part of it. The sky is a part of it. You're moving over here. You're moving over there. Climbing up on a box or something. Be careful. There's a Doug Kahn story. When he was traveling this last year, the year before, he was performing in a venue or outside venue that he wasn't familiar with. He climbed up on I think it was a flower stoop or something. He fell off. He still finished the trick, but he had to end the show. He was okay. Some bruises. So be careful. Be careful. Be careful. But remember, your show is the world. You can make that happen. Okay. A quick point on interacting with the audience. Depending on the duration, this is what you're going to do with them. 5 seconds or less, they can be seated. 5 seconds to 1 minute, have them stand up so everybody can see them. Because it's going to be a longer interaction, so you're going to want to create that engagement. If it's going to be more than 1 minute, have them come up on stage, do the segment with them, then make sure that you smile, thank you, and help them back to their seat. Avoid dead time. because nothing's happening, so you're not going to want to hang out. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of those. Now, this is a point that was made that he doesn't like the idea of signing cards. Not because the element of signing a card doesn't make the effect more impossible. He argues that maybe it's not as strong as we think it is because the magic is already happening before them. It's the same idea of like, this is not a trick deck. It's a regular deck of cards. You've now just implanted the idea for no reason. Signed card. It's the only card in the deck. So there's the argument. Like, this is clearly the only card. You know what a deck of cards is. There's no extras. You're not saying this. It's just a known fact. You're losing the card and then you're making it appear regardless if it's signed or not. It could be that it helps elevate the magic, but here's what's happening while they're signing the card. Nothing. So make sure that you're doing something while they're signing the card. I use Braden Carlisle. I think that's his name. I'm terrible with names. I gotta get better at that. He's a magician, and one of the things that he does is he has somebody sign a card, and he's like, well, he's signing the card, I'm going to do a puppet show. He goes behind his stand, gets a puppet out. As he comes back up, he's not looking at the guy. He's like, oh, you're already done? Thank God. Throws the puppet. He makes a joke of it, good or bad or indifferent. It worked, and it's kind of funny. So that was his choice, and artistically and for the show it works because something was still happening while the guy was signing a card. It was a gag. He got rid of it. He throws it behind him. Perfect. Misdirection. Offbeat. Big move covers the small move. We all know that, but let's make sure that we're using it effectively. You don't want to miss the direction. Misdirection. Don't leave a spectator in the dark. So if they're going to use a blindfold, make sure that you wait until the very last minute, put them on the blindfold, put the blindfold on them, and then make sure that you alert them and you know exactly, hey, we're going to put you under there for like 20 seconds top, and then you take it off. Stay in front of the audience. I was just saying on my live earlier that I want to move my magic stand from behind me. I have another one over here that I fill up. I want to move that so that it's beside me instead of behind me because I don't want you guys to just keep seeing the back of my head. I know you guys love my purple hair, but I know that you'd rather see what's going on here. Plus, you can't always hear me when I turn around because the microphone is over here, not over there. Now, if I were using my lapel mic, which I have two of them, then that would work. But I am not using those, so that doesn't work. We're getting through them. Then we can talk about the coin trick, hopefully. What time are we at here? Almost an hour. Fantastic. 5:30. We're going to have to... Wow. Okay, so we got 2.5 pages. Make sure everyone hears you and that... Okay, so if you're interacting with a volunteer, the way I wrote it, make sure everyone hears you and that if you are talking to everyone, and make sure that you're talking to everyone, and if need be, repeat and reinforce so that they understand what's going on. We've talked about that before. We're just reiterating that now. At the end of the routine, get the volunteer an applause and nod your thanks. Help them off stage. Again, it's the same idea that you don't want people to applaud or laugh for everything, so don't cue them for that. Cue them if something big happens. So if you ask somebody, what's your favorite color? Blue. Yay, blue! Doesn't make sense. If something big and monumentous happens, if the volunteer helps you make the magic happen, get them their applause, get them off the stage, and we'll talk more on that in a little bit. Make sure you thank them and make sure you help them. Respect your props. They're expensive. When you're finished, make sure that you put them in your receptacle so that they're out of the way, but make sure that you're respectful to them. Don't just be throwing stuff around. Make sure everything is clean and fresh on stage. Make sure you look good. Make sure your trunk looks good. Make sure your props look good. And just make sure that everything is crisp. Never turn your back on your audience like I do when I get my stuff off my shelf behind me. Avoid having volunteers sign something unless absolutely necessary. Practice transitions. Just as important. Because if you don't practice the transitions between your segments and your routines, then there's going to be dead time because you're not sure what to do. Where's this thing? Where's that thing? Anyway, twiddle the thumbs while we come up with an idea for our next thing. And just make sure your transitions are practiced and rehearsed as well. It should be a part of your pattern and script. You should have transitions. Like if you're doing modular pieces and you're performing this piece, this piece, this piece, and then you go to do another show and this piece is over here and this piece is over here, this piece over here. Those transitions should still be attached to the beginning or the end. Like if you're doing a video and you're doing different segments, I'm fading in from this or I'm fading out to this. Those transitions should still be built in. Remember, you are in charge of your show. If anything goes wrong, it is your fault. Don't take it personal. Just smile and entertain. Just keep making it happen. You're making magic, so just make it happen. Don't assume the audience knows. Seek to control every moment and choose carefully whom you direct questions toward. When something goes wrong, move on. Keep entertaining. If you can salvage it in a good, positive, entertaining way. If not, snip, snip. Well, that happened, folks. Let's see what I got next. Just keep going. Just keep smiling, because things will go wrong. If you perform long enough, things will go wrong. Be nice when you're walking alongside other performers. Help them. You are all on the same card. So, again, this goes back to what we talked about, helping performers, sharing your set list so you know and they know that you're not repeating things. Help them out. Give them good praise because you're on the same team and it makes you look good. That's one of Ken Weber's points to that, and that's kind of important. It elevates you in the eyes of your client, the one who hired you. Hey, this guy's really nice to work with. He's working well with these other magicians. He's working well with my own employees, my own staff. People love having him. Let's bring him back. And he's good. And he's good. So just remember that. Be nice. Closing the show. Be the last thing the audience sees. So that goes back to what we were talking about. When you have your volunteer on stage and you're closing out the show, you might not want to have interaction for your last piece. But if you do, make sure that there's a moment where you're separating it, getting them their applause. They leave, you help them. And then now you're finishing up with your final word with just you. The spotlight's all on you. You're the magician. You're the performer. You're getting the praise. It seals and locks it into their brain. Be the last thing the audience sees. Standing ovations to climax. Don't rush off. Take a bow until the crowd starts to settle. So the way this would look is that if you're giving them the bow, and then you're going to slightly raise your hands, but not like this. You're just going to be like, not a shrug, but you're going to mime the direction as if you were to do that, so that they subconsciously get this idea of rise, and then if you can get like a couple people to do it, then the idea is that group think and everybody will do it. So if people stand, acknowledge them directly. So if you got a couple people, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that could also get you that praise reward. If they see you praising them, other people will stand like dominoes. After the show, keep the strongest parts of your show alive by spinning your show in the best light. This is what we do with our highlight reels, right? Help them remember by reiterating what you wanted to happen. Not that if you made any mistakes, that's not the idea. The idea is, do you remember when they did this and then this happened? Even though that might not be the order that things happened, maybe they did this and then you did this and then this thing happened. You don't want that. You want them to remember that they made this magic moment happen in their minds, or whatever, however you want to spin it to highlight the magic. The post-mortem. This is on the way home. Replay your show in silence. Don't listen to anything. Don't do anything else. Just replay what happened in your mind. Have your phone recording so that you can talk through it. So that way, if you have any ideas, any thoughts, hey, that was a good line. Let me put that there. Make some notations, verbal notations, because you're driving, you're not writing. When you're not like, don't do that. Okay. Then you're going to wait a couple of days and you're going to revisit to see what stays and what goes. Hey, that sounded great, but the adrenaline is gone, and you're like, why did I ever think that was going to work? Get rid of that. Giving and getting criticism. So this is a big one, and I think this is what finishes out a lot of it. So giving and getting criticism is pretty similar, but here's the ideas. If you're giving criticism, get permission. So we're going to have to work on that, because if we are going to review channels, I will reach out to them first. If they are big name people that are performing live TV like Shin Lim, things like that, I could send them a message. Like I heard Michael O'Brien's like, hey, what do you got? And he's like, hey, just let me know. He's like, you can watch a longer video because I just did a short. But try to get permission if it's something that you can do. I don't think that if it's like David Copperfield, there's critiquing already happening. If it's big name live people, it's probably fair game. So get permission. Start with the good things. Hey, these are the 10 points. Sounds like a good idea, right? 10 things that I found about this guy. Number 1, the best thing ever. Did you see what he was wearing? It was absolutely fantastic. I love the color. Things like that. Start with the good stuff and then work your way down. Condense similar points. The same idea for like if you're doing an act and you're listing out, these are the effects that I want to do, and then group them together. These two are really similar. I want to get rid of those. Same thing here, condense them. These 2 talking points are actually the same basic thing. So I'm not going to bring up both of them. I'm just going to say, here's something that I noticed throughout your show, and here's an example. Be gentle, humble, polite. Because you're not trying to tear them down. You're trying to lift them up. You're saying, hey, I think if you spun this in a certain way, this might work for you. This is what I noticed. But this is just my opinion. Let them know that. This part, in private, we're not going to be able to do that here. Just saying. I'm not doing anything to tear anybody down. I'm not doing anything to destroy their reputation. I'm only reviewing things on the base level. We're not going to the fringes here. We're just doing a basic run of the mill. We're going to focus on my stuff and maybe branch out to some other things. So if they don't want me to, like, if this were on a professional level and I were doing directorial notes, like actually doing client work to help people, if I were an expert or professional in this field, then I would absolutely keep it. Like, I would not talk about my clients. I wouldn't. These are just free reviews that I'm doing based on my own observations. So if it gets to the point where I actually can give, if somebody's like, hey, look, this is solid and you should start charging people for this advice, then obviously confidentiality is important. Be specific. This is an opinion. Said that. Hey, this is, just so you know, this is just my humble opinion. Both verbally and written. So you can give them the presentation where you're breaking down, but make sure you send them the breakdown so that they can visually see it as well. How to receive. Private. Listen carefully and make sure you take notes. Thank them for their time. Graciously, oh, thank you so much for pointing this out to me. Don't argue. Don't be like, well, no, this is what I've blah. No, just accept the criticism. Take some time, then revisit the notes. The same way if you were critiquing your own things after your show, if somebody's giving you this, they gave you the verbal presentation, you're like, hey, can I take the list, the notations back with me and kind of go over it a little bit? And then maybe we'll come back and we'll talk about some good points. And you can take the same notes that are here for giving criticism about their criticism the same way. Granted, I'd be like, hey, look, can we go over these points that you gave me? I want an opportunity to kind of see if we can work on them together, to critique them, to help my performance. Get permission before you criticize their criticism. I'm just kind of spitballing this idea to see if it works. Start with good things, like saying, I think these points were really good, and I think we can really start implementing these changes right away. But for these other ones, I think maybe we should go into further detail about what you meant, because I'm not seeing what you're seeing. Condense similar points. Same idea there. Be gentle, humble, and polite. Hey, look, I really appreciate the fact that you are giving me this information. I would never have known. I can't see what you're seeing. So we're going to go ahead and start implementing some of these changes right away. So I really appreciate that. Can we go into further detail? In private, obviously. Be specific. This one in particular, number 7, I'm not really. Here's what I'm thinking about this one. Let me see if does this work for you. How can we make this change this up a little bit? And verbally and written, all that. I think it can be done. I think that if you have an open forum and it's kind of like an open consulting type of thing, passion and failure. Love what you do. Do enough to learn from your failure. Always learn from your mistakes. So love what you do enough to learn from your mistakes and your failures. Continue to raise your level, which is the name of this workshop. We'll get our branding good, but it's raise your level. That's the workshop. And keep your passion, which is actually the notation that Ken Weber will do. People are like, hey, can you write some words on the book? Or when they see him, like, hey, just get some inspiration. And he'll write, keep your passion. Because it's so important for us for what we do that we want to pass on all the things that we've learned to elevate and make other people just as successful as ourselves. In this case, he wrote 2 whole books. Well, 1 book and then updated it because you got to keep rolling, keep evolving. And so I think all of this really works out really nicely. And that is, wowzers. That's that. That's an hour and 12 minutes. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave you with a performance, a walkthrough performance of this coin routine from Bobo's. I don't even have a name for it, but we're going to talk about it real quick, and we'll go into further detail in the next one. Here is the routine as presented in Bobo's, because that is what is recommended by Ken Weber. We just learn it as it is. Now, there are other options in the book, but we'll go over variations later. No pattern? Let's get into it. And there you have it. Don't have a name for it. It's the Bobo's routine number 1, page 341 from the Bobo's Modern Coin Magic. 3 phases. First phase is coin through hand. Second phase is coin through handkerchief. Third phase is vanishing coin from handkerchief. So the first 2 phases is coin through an object. The third phase, the coin vanishes completely. Now, some interesting points about that I want to touch base on before we end it here, but we will pick this up next week. Raise your level, where we will break down this effect. Is going through the hand a stronger effect then going through the silk. So, giving away the gold here, the coin is in the pocket. So, going through the hand, meaty flesh, about an inch. But, closed fist, the idea that the coin is still in this hand, you're showing this hand empty as you have the coin here. So, as a strong effect, maybe not. It's a good place to start, but since both of your second and third phase are using the silk, let's look at this effect here. First one, coin retained in the hand, then placed into the hand right before revealing it, then it's there. Now this one you can actually feel, and I'm showing you that you can feel the coin. You can still see it. I can show you that it's there, and then I can take the coin, clearly still in there, and wrap it up. And then you can actually see when the coin comes through the silk. And one of the things that I like to do joke-wise, natural patter is, I better not have ruined this. This cost me $20. You know, and you can clearly show the coin and show that the silk is fine. So, because of how things progress, that will be the question that we will ask next time is, for the shorts, what is more impressive? Coin through hand or coin through silk? Let me know down below. And don't forget to check out our Maximum Entertainment 2.0 workshop, Raise Your Level, next week, where we talk about this Bobo coin routine. Thank you, everybody. Remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And hopefully, we see you in the next one.